Hi guys, today I will talk about morality, and since it's a broad topic with a lot of entries, I will narrow it down to the question of whether morality is objective or if it's subjective. In my mind, it's subjective. But as I pointed out in my last video about definitions and descriptions, you can define things in and out of existence. I will add to that definitions has words, and these words also have definitions. These create networks of meanings which might be different but still internally consistent. So there might be someone who think of morality as objective without them being wrong or inconsistent. When I say that morality is subjective, this is an expression of my opinion. I will talk about the criterion for objectivity, but first let's talk about the main topic, morality. When this subject comes up, I experience that people very often jump straight into analysis of specific moral questions. They say things like everyone agrees that it's immoral to murder children for fun and so on. This is fine and useful, but the thing I think should be clarified first is what sort of thing morality is. In my mind, the word is a name for something we can observe. It's a phenomena. I think of it as patterns of behavior. These can be generalized as preferences for actions and choices that intentionally avoid causing harm to others. Moral rules are attempts to formalize this, but I think the vast majority would show these patterns even if there were no formal rules expressed. So moral is in my mind well documented and observed phenomena which is independent of specific moral rules. It's patterns of behavior. Right, so now you know what sort of thing I think moral is. Before I go on to talk about why morality, I want to point out something else about our behavior, namely that all living things that we know of are competitive, in one way or another. I think of this as a function of evolution. If some species don't evolve and compete, sooner or later they will be outcompeted and eventually die out. In this perspective, the intuitive solution is egotism, to grab as much resources as one can, as fast as one can, before the competition, and to eliminate competitors if the opportunity arises. Not necessarily to seek out conflicts, putting oneself at risk, but to use every safe opportunity one can to hamper the competitor's chances of succeeding before you. This is also something we see in nature, but we also see species forming groups, taking advantage of the principle of cooperation to get ahead in the competition. These animals who cooperate in groups display two different sets of behaviors in relation to members of the same species. One for outsiders, as mentioned, and another for group members. All of this is fully explainable by evolutionary psychology, but I don't think I would call what most social animals are doing moral. First, if there is no choices being made, if the actions are instinctual or automatic in other ways, I don't think these counts as morals. Also, acting to preserve a group that oneself is benefiting from being part of, or acting in fear of punishment from the group, this counts as acting in one's own self-interests. It isn't moral. So I don't think animals act morally. Part of what social groups rely on is that every individual has a primary relationship with all the other members of the group. This puts an upper limit to how large a social group can be, seemingly dependent on intelligence. There is no need for morality in social groups for several reasons. First, that social groups seems to be strict hierarchical. Strong leaders will punish dissenters and lay down the law. Benefits of cooperation will be obvious, and there is also opportunity to leave the group if individuals don't benefit from membership. Humans is, as far as I know, the only species that have taken the formation of groups one step further. In addition to social groups, humans form permanent, stable societies, where one must relate to a larger group of individuals and one don't necessarily know other individuals. I don't include flocks. I don't think there is any helping behavior except for the advantage of being in the flock, or hives where individuals seemingly are programmed to act in certain ways, like in a beehive. While in social groups there is two principal ways of relating to others. In societies, how one is supposed to act in relations to individual one doesn't know depends on group relationships to other groups. This demands the ability to form symbolic representation of groups, so there is a certain level of intelligence required. In this situation, the benefit of cooperation might not always be obvious to the individuals. Maybe for some there even isn't a benefit, but the benefit is rather for the group as a whole or for some individuals, sometimes perhaps only the leaders. The individuals are still expected to respect the rules of the society. This is where moral comes into the picture. So even though competition is allowed in societies, morals create a framework for how one is allowed to compete. In social groups, the competition is for who is going to be the leader, who dictates the rules. In societies, a framework is implicit from the offset and individuals are expected to comply whether they benefit or not. The idea that morals counts for all humans or humanity as a whole is a very recent idea. There is nothing novel about it. What has shifted is just what symbol is used to identify who is included in the moral sphere. We have shifted from using a symbolic representation of our group, like the nation or religion or something like this, to use the symbolic representation of all humans or humanity. This shift is crucial to be aware of to understand history. Before moral identification was globalized, so to say, it was unproblematic to enslave or exterminate people who was considered outside the moral sphere, and sometimes even to eat them. When that is said, I believe cruelty for the cruelty's sake or for fun has always been frowned upon. But this is for other reasons. Someone who commits cruel acts because they like it, I believe, has been seen as problematic for the group internally. This has also been the issue for cruelty towards animals, even towards unwanted animals. It's okay to kill rats and mice when they eat your food and spread disease, but you're not supposed to enjoy it, at least not too much. So before, when it was common to beat children or animals, for men to beat their wives and for the boss to beat his employees, and so on, it was still not okay to do it for fun or out of cruelty. So I think that adding the for fun to a proposition always creates a straw man. Now, to the question of whether morality is objective or subjective. Historian of science, executive director of the Skeptic Society, the founding publisher of Skeptic magazine, Michael Shermer, formulated it like this in an article called "Morality is Real, Objective and Natural." Objective morality is the idea that right and wrong exists factually without any importance of opinion. It's the concept that some actions and beliefs are imperatively good or inherently bad, and that goodness or badness of those things holds true no matter who you are or what else you believe in. I think this quote captures the general idea of objective morality very well. Unfortunately, I still think it's wrong. I will not talk about theist version of objective morality, since these are contingent of there being a God, and I don't think this is the case. Although I know there is other ideas of what objective morality is out there. For the duration of this video, I'm going to treat Shermer's formulation as being the definition. If you believe in objective morality, but your perspective is different from this, I would love to hear about it in the commentary section. First, I do believe that right and wrong exist factually without any importance of opinion. I also agree that some actions and beliefs are imperatively good or inherently bad, but this holds true for individuals that belong to the same moral sphere, the same extended society. It just happens that today this includes all of humanity, for me anyway. But remember that this is a recent idea. My moral is objectively my moral, and I believe that my morality is reflective of the morality that is objectively the morality of society. But I think I would be deluding myself if I were to believe that this morality, my morality, has always been the morality of all individuals and societies, that everyone at all times have agreed with my morality, or even that they should have. To illustrate what I mean by this, imagine going back in time to a time when no society existed. Humans or humanoids or whatever they were was probably organized in hierarchical groups, much like chimpanzees or gorillas are today. Now imagine if we were to judge these according to the morality that we have today. We don't do that for chimpanzees. Why not? We know that chimpanzees sometimes deliberately hunt neighboring group to extinction, killing every individual, including children, and eating their brains. So why isn't this judged as immoral? They don't know right from wrong, right? But why does this matter if it's a universal truth, no matter what else one believes in? This raises the question, when exactly did it become morally wrong to act like chimpanzees? If you read the Bible, this is the fall of man, right? As described in Genesis, we ate the forbidden fruit and then magically we knew right from wrong, and like that morality was introduced. No, how I imagine it happened was that societies formed as agreements between leaders of social groups, and with it the need for some communal code of conduct, an imperative to act for the good of the larger community, the society, and everybody was expected to conform no matter whether they agreed or not. Today this feels like it's objectively true, even though we know that there must have been a time when it wasn't. So my answer is no. Moral is ultimately subjective, even though I do believe it's objectively true that some ideas must be accepted for societies to form. Still, we can't expect everyone to follow rules that they don't benefit from, or to promote societies that harm them. In short, we can't expect people to be good in societies that isn't good for them. So I do believe that some actions and beliefs are imperatively good and inherently bad for societies, but I don't think these ideas are universally true no matter who you are or what else you believe in. Well, that's it for now, folks. Thank you for the view and have a nice day.